Anything less than the best will not be good enough. Will Sharp takes it off the kick-off, and it's going to be a slippery surface. It's rained for most of the morning, a lot of yesterday, and although the ground looks in perfect condition, it would be difficult to, with the ground being so hard after so much sun, for the rain to drain away completely. And Halifax still in their own half. Will Maher up to the 40 and dragging two defenders with him in an effort to make metres for Halifax. Back to Scott Morrell, brings Fairbank the drop-off ball back on the inside. Fairbank gets to halfway. The referee indicates that this is the last tackle of the first set, so we're back to Morrell and the kick. Pressure on Morrell. Ed Barber gets the kick away. Pull back Declan Kay safe underneath it, but Halifax players waiting for anything that Declan Kay would try. Griggs and Barber and Fairbank bringing him down. Good run out of defence. Halifax trying to hold up the Rochdale carrier and force him towards the touchline. Pat Moran, Robert Masson round the winger. Plenty of pace as Masson. And Halifax with some big hits. Centre field, and Masson by a country mile, the top try scorer for the Rochdale Hornets with 12. The sun breaks through after the coldest weekend of the summer so far. Temperatures still pleasant, certainly more pleasant than they've been the last couple of weeks when they were playing in plus 25 degree temperatures. Ben Heaton will carry it up, and I think the message from Richard Marshall to make sure the ball is carried safely and strongly into the defence, and Halifax retain possession for as long as possible and as much of the game as possible, as Ben Kay gets it away to Jacob Fairbank, but Rochdale making it difficult for Halifax to get out of their own half with the ball. Simon Griggs looks for a gap in the defence, and once again the Rochdale Hornets caught Halifax in their own half. The pressure on Scott Morrell, but he gets his kick away. Declan Kay goes back to field it for the Hornets, returns it 12 metres. Good kick return from the winger. Good chase by Johnson and Griggs. And Halifax looking man for man in most departments bigger than their opposition, and come forward now again with Luke Adamson. Daniel Yates run across the defence, draws the support to him in George King. George King, former Warrington player, is 86 Super League games under his belt for Warrington as George King, and that is not a Super League standard kick, as the ball was aimed down the touchline. Rochdale attempting to keep Halifax near their own line. Well, they'll come back from the 20 with Kieran Moss with a tap. Will Sharp going from acting half. And the South Stand chorus already in full voice as they try to encourage their side on, as Tyra gets to halfway, and Halifax may be visiting the Rochdale half for the first time with ball in hand. Will Maher is the first Halifax player to carry the ball into Rochdale territory, trying to get up and play it quickly. Ben Kay from acting half gets it to Simon Griggs, who runs into a three-man tackle 30 metres out. Ben Kay uses the short side. Johnson with a kick through, gets the ball back, and Halifax gets six more, and an opportunity to build the pressure on the Rochdale line with six tackles just outside the 20. Jacob Fairbank drives the ball up to the 20. No risky passes as yet from Halifax. Morrell gets it to Ed Barber, who steps round the first defender and then straightens up towards the try line. He's brought down 8 metres out. Ben Kay to Scott Morrell. Now Woodburn Hall attacks the same spot that Barber did, with the same results, being tackled slightly nearer the line. Ben Kay throws the dummy and then gets the leg drive on over the line, and the Rochdale defence somehow hold him up. That's great leg drive from Ben Kay, forcing 2 defenders over the line. Just unable to get the ball down, and walks back to the 10 metre line with a determined look on his face as Johnson kicks through. That's well picked up by fullback Declan Kay. But Dean Cross takes the ball out. Adamson, another man with plenty of Super League experience. Alan Kilshaw drafted in loanees from Warrington this afternoon. Toby Adamson. Again, Yates trying to get the ball moving out wide. Lewis Hatton, and this time it's another kick downfield, but nowhere near the touchline. Moss able to pick it up, and he fancies a run against the defence. Gets it to Will Sharp, and Will Sharp looking for the outside of the Rochdale defenders, but Massam keeping a close eye on his opposite number as Barber takes the ball off Morrell, which a measured ball was almost forward. Fairbank charges it up, making the defence work. George King and Pat Moran. Moss gets it away, and Tyra looks for the outside round Morgan Smith. Ooh, not the best of passes inside, for which Ben Heaton's apologised, but Griggs, with Fairbank on his shoulder, decides to take the tackle, the last one of this set on the 30, and Morrell's kick is there to test Massam, and Massam, Will Sharp did well not to commit himself while Massam was in the air there with the ball. And Halifax now trying to put pressure on the Hornets defence and keep them in their own quarter of the field. 3 tackles gone, and still yet to break over the 20 metre whitewash. They may do now with Richard Lepore. The ball back inside, looking for the forwards to run it up, and George King does just that to the 40 on the last tackle. It'll go back again to Smith for the kick, and Smith looks for space between full-back and winger, but Kieran Moss is there to pick it up again, and there's a good chase on from the Rochdale side on Kieran Moss, who's forced to run more lateral than forward. Ben Heaton picks it up from acting half and almost got up again after the tackle was made. Quick play, the ball gives Halifax the advantage, with Tyra taking it up to halfway and then offloading to Will Sharp, and Will Sharp will carry the ball on a further 10 metres to the Rochdale 40. Ben Kay acting half to Fairbank, Fairbank to Johnson. Johnson able to shrug off the attempted tackle of Whittaker, and Johnson still going, and then eventually is wrapped up by Luke Adamson. Morrell, another testing kick into the in-goal area for Declan Kay to bring out. Morrell there first. Declan Kay done well to bring that ball back into the field of play. Yates feeds Massam, but Massam has nowhere to go. Pressure on from the Halifax defence. And Halifax putting the same pressure on Pat Moran as he tries to take the ball out. Dion Cross. Back into George King. Last tackle. Halifax have done extremely well. Rochdale have only made the 30, so it'll back for another kick downfield, which Will Sharp this time will go back to recover. Will Sharp runs it back strongly at the defence, carries it back over the 20, and Scott Morrell back into the acting half. Gives it to Ben Heaton. Balls to tackle of Yates and Tyler Whittaker. And Whittaker playing in a hooking role, but normally a half-back. Another one with Warrington connections. This was Declan Kate, Lewis Hatton, Pat Moran, George King, Morgan Smith. Plenty of players that may not have made the first team at Warrington, but being in that Super League environment, of course, I suppose Richard Marshall may know something about them, depending on the time they spent there. It's Richard Marshall obviously on the coaching side at Warrington before taking up his position at Halifax. And the Halifax player receiving attention. Clock top on the 30-minute mark. So 10 minutes gone in the first half. And medical assistance also being handed out on the Rochdale side of the field. Looks like Tyler Whittaker may have a problem. Well, it has to be an out-and-out win for Halifax today. A draw won't do their cause any good. But the first 10 minutes have produced a stalemate between these two sides. Halifax having to apply themselves mentally against a team that's only won 4 games this season. And Wilmar falls to the tackle of 3 who were slow to get up from the play of the ball. Adamson, the last one. Ed Barber gets it away to Woodburn Hall, who threatens to split the defence. Adamson, one of the tacklers. Yates, the other. Last one. Here we go. Morell to Tyra. Well, Tyra's managed to knock it backwards, so it's still last tackle. Halifax trying to keep it alive through Chester Butler. Kick across field is to Massam, and Massam has managed to avoid 2 tackles. Woodburn Hall being dragged along on the grass, and Massam has done extremely well there to take the ball outside the 20 for the Rochdale Hornets. Halifax had hands on him, and again Halifax being bumped off in the tackle by Toby Adamson. And Rochdale's best 6 away from their own line has seen them get over the 40. Chances here, but the ball has gone to ground, it's gone backwards. Untouched by a Halifax hand, but Rochdale have made it to halfway. And George King will drive the ball up to the Halifax 40 as the referee raises his hand to indicate the last tackle. And Tyler Whittaker this time puts the ball into touch, although it's not a great metre gain, it's only got about 5 metres. Halifax will start from just inside their own 30 with a scrum. And looking for their first real attack. As Richard Marshall has his replacements warming up on the bench line, on the touch line after 12 minutes. Ben Kay managed to go off the back of the scrum, but Declan Kay was always going to catch him. Will Marr, strong drive by Marr again. He will have been an integral part of this team since his loan move from Castleford. Johnson bounces away from one and then falls to the tackle of George King. And there's a flop shouted for by the Halifax supporters there as Morell gets it to Ed Barber, who runs into a 3-man reception committee just outside the Rochdale 20. Griggs to Johnson. Halifax still looking for the first opportunity. Kick behind the defence puts pressure on, and Halifax force Rochdale out of play with the ball. That will give them an ideal platform from 10 metres out with a scrum to try and build for the first score of this game. It's after 14 minutes, remains 0-0. I would expect it's only a matter of time, I suppose, before Halifax score, and will this be the opportunity as Tyra drives it down the short side? He's tackled by 3. Rochdale defending for the life. It's a scrappy play, the ball. Wilmar will get the pass that takes him back to within 5 metres of the Rochdale line.
Is he still working?
Griggs to Morell. Woodburn Hall with a strength for the corner, but that's great defence from Rochdale. Woodburn Hall just managing somehow to keep himself in the field of play. Will Sharp with a scrappy pass. Griggs gets it to Fairbank. Fairbank gets it back, and Griggs can pick it up. Can he get over the line? The referee's having a look, and the first try goes to Halifax after a scrappy play. Poor pass inside from Will Sharp, which was picked up by Griggs. Griggs offloaded to Jacob Fairbank, who couldn't break through, but he managed to turn around and get the return to Simon Griggs, and he goes over for Halifax's first try. So inevitable really from where Halifax began, with a scrum on the 10-metre line, but not the most convincing or skillful of tries. But Halifax will take whatever they can for the first score of the match, and a lead of Halifax 4, Rochdale 0. Simon Griggs' third try of the season. Has been taking part in creating a few, hasn't scored so many, but any ones he can get this afternoon are important to Halifax in their quest for a top 4 finish. Tyra adds the extras from in front of the post. And Halifax finally get off the mark. Probably taken longer than they expected. Taken 15.5 minutes or so for Halifax to open their account. Halifax all-time highest point scorer with 1,658 Will Sharp is threatening to break away from the Rochdale defence. Ben Heaton gets some plays the ball. Ben Kay goes to the short side. Chester Butler is still going despite 3 defenders around him, and manages to get the ball out in the tackle. The referee waves play on, and a slow reaction there from Halifax might have cost them. There were 3 defenders in on the tackle when Chester Butler somehow managed to get that ball away, but Halifax unable to take advantage. Griggs skips away from 2, goes back inside, and a penalty, the first one of the game, goes to Halifax. As Luke Adamson pleads his innocence. So a chance for Halifax maybe to set up a second opportunity as Morell puts the ball into touch 18 metres out from the Rochdale line. Griggs drives it forward, gets it to Wilmar. Well, despite the 1-point defeat to Toronto, Rochdale have taken some heavy defeats in the last few weeks, conceding 60 and 70 points on a regular basis, and Jacob Fairbank is going to inflict more pain on this Rochdale defence. Declan Gregory, who's only just come onto the field, well, a brave attempt to get round the legs of Fairbank, but just didn't have the strength to stop him. Neither did his teammates. The upper body strength from Jacob Fairbank from well, it was only 3 or 4 metres out, but Jacob Fairbank was close enough to sense that a try was on.
He knows it as he's working on it.
And
there's nothing he can do, it's broken, Sailor.
well, it's a day for the low scorers so far this afternoon. Jacob Fairbanks scoring only his 2nd try of the season. Steve Tyra preparing to convert again. It's a little bit more difficult this time. It's 11 metres out to the left hand upright. But the same result for Steve Tyra. With his first conversion became Halifax's 2nd all-time point scorer. 2nd highest all-time point scorer. And Halifax doubled their lead very quickly. And Toby Adamson had a hand in it by conceding a penalty, and Will Sharp's looking for a gap in the defence again. No mistake this time with a tackle from Gregory, who's not the biggest man, and throws himself round the legs of Will Marr, trying to cook for that poor effort in defence on Fairbanks, and interestingly keeping away from him this time. The Rochdale forwards put Fairbank down on the 40. Simon Griggs tries to get the hand off. Short side, and Ben Heaton turns it back inside, and Chester Butler has support with him but doesn't need it. Shrugs off the attempted tackle of Morgan Smith, who tried vainly to keep hold of him. Well, it was a slow start for Halifax, but they're certainly revving up now. That first try has really helped Halifax to kick on. The scoreboard operator looks like he may be busy this afternoon after Halifax posts a 3rd try, extend the lead to Halifax 16, Rochdale 0. Ben Eaton's break down the left hand side. Chester Butler supporting on the inside, and it looked as though Chester Butler had been caught by fullback Declan Kate. So much strength for Butler to get out of the tackle and take himself into double figure tries for the season with number 10. Steve Tyra has a kick from 2 metres in from the far touchline. Well, Halifax will be able to replicate those scenes of jubilation after the win over Toulouse last week. It looks like it might be heading that way so far. It stays at 14-0 with Tyra unable to convert. Back to the centre spot for Morgan Smith to restart, trying the short kick-off, taken by Ed Barber, and Ed Barber immediately carries the ball 15 metres back towards halfway. Could have been a penalty there. Joe Tyra is on for Rochdale. But Halifax now with a bit between the teeth and in no mood now to give up the pounding that they couldn't give into Rochdale as an offload, which fortunately for Halifax goes backwards. Will Marr gets it away to Morell. Morell to Griggs, who shows the ball and then takes it to the defence just outside the 30-metre line in the Rochdale half of the field. Scott Morell to Ben Johnson. Halifax have plenty of runners, and Chester Butler there again, but this time the Rochdale defence sticking to him. Ben Kay gives it to Wilmar, and Wilmar tries the offload. It's come off a Rochdale and Halifax have 6 more. Morrell kicks through, Ed Barber's chasing it, and it's picked up at the back by Declan Kay, but Halifax won't mind because they will get the advantage from the original knock-on that gave Halifax 6 more tackles, and will get another opportunity to build pressure from 18 metres out. Brandon Moore and Dan Fleming waiting to get on, but they'll have to wait until the next breaking play after this scrum. Ben Kay to Steve Tyrer. Tyrer almost slipping the defence there. Good work with Dion Cross sticking to him. Halifax pressing again. Morrell takes the ball and gets clattered by Luke Adamson. Not giving Morrell any opportunity. Fleming, first touch since he's come on to replace Will Mart. Morrell will be under pressure again. He's got his kick away. Ed Barber's managed to pick it up, turns it back inside. It's scrappy again, and Woodburn Hall took a big hit there. And Ben Kay is off for Brandon Moore. Woodburn Hall back on his feet, looking groggy. There's a Rochdale player down and looks a little worse for wear. So Halifax's attacking options may change a little now with the introduction of Brandon Moore. Not that Ben Kay doesn't offer Halifax anything, but different styles of hookers, creating different kinds of opportunities. Ben Kay does like his scoop from dummy half, but he does a lot of passing. Brandon Moore able to open up defences seemingly quite easily sometimes.
Replay. So was it just a reboot?
Rochdale player down, looks like one of the Adamson brothers. It's not one of the Adamson brothers, but Tyler Whittaker will have to come back on. It's Declan Gregory who's leaving the field. I thought Woodburn Hall were going to come out the worst of that one, but obviously Declan Gregory has a shoulder problem. Morrell kicks through, it's come off a Rochdale hand and bounces backwards as Tyra gets the quick play of the ball and then gets shoved to the ground and earns his side a penalty. And the kick to touch is not the best. It's made the touch line, but it's only just outside the Rochdale 20. And this is one of the Adamson brothers, Toby Adamson, taking the ball up to the Rochdale 30. Tyler Whittaker to George King, good hands from King, and opportunities on that far side as Dion Cross looks for a way through, and might have had half a chance there if he could have got the ball out to Declan King, who was unmarked on the wing, and that's a strong drive, but an equally strong tackle from Fleming and Moore just inside the Halifax half. Rochdale's first visit with ball in hand for a while. Halifax half, and Declan Kay linking up from full back. And Declan Kay feeling the full force of the tackle there. Well, Toulouse had 1 or 2 walking wounded when they left here last week, but they recovered to beat Dewsbury yesterday to more or less assure them a place in the top 4. Touches and referee refereeing conversation about something. And the referee calling Halifax captain Scott Morell over. Touches has obviously seen something that justifies a referee putting that incident on report. But Declan Kay back on his feet as George King drives it up for Rochdale. Last tackle. Rochdale will be looking to create something from this. It's a crossfield kick which Woodburn Hall will go back to collect, and will keep the ball in play. Tyre is the tackler. Will Sharp will drive it up, and Tyre is the tackler again, turning Will Sharp on his back. And then trying to hold him there as he gets up and play the ball. Dan Fleming. Strong run from Fleming, takes him over the 30. Chester Butler making meters for Halifax. Gets up and plays it quickly. Brandon Moore gets it to Morell, turns it inside to Kieran Moss, who's flattened almost immediately as he took the pass then. Last tackle just outside the 40. Ben Johnson will put the kick down the touchline, and Declan Kay looked like he wasn't interested in that, but had to pick it up and run the ball back. Halifax were there to meet him 10 metres out. Richard Lepore will come inside, and a few clubs as Richard Lepore. George King doing a good job driving the ball up there, almost halfway for the Hornets. Trying to make a hole in this 16 points to nil lead. Adamson, Luke Adamson it is, taking it over the 40, but the last tackle again will mean that Rochdale will be forced into the kick, but they're happy just to drill it down the touchline on this occasion with Tyler Whittaker. Another one of those Warrington players in Alan Kilshaw's side. And Tyler Whittaker almost lost the rugby league, wasn't even playing at the start of the season. Joined Crossfields Amateur Club, went to Warrington and got an opportunity with Rochdale. One of the problems with having so many players on your roster throughout the season with 60 odd players is really not having the luxury of a fully settled side. Morell puts the ball into touch of a second Halifax penalty. Gives it to Ed Barber down the short side and says you have a go, and Barber takes it over halfway and will eventually get up and play the ball when the 4 defenders get up now. Elliot Morris, loose carried, looked like he lost the ball before he even made contact there, Elliot Morris. And very few errors from Halifax in this first half. Good completion rate, which is percentage just gone down with that mistake. George King taking it up again. George King stopped 8 metres inside the Halifax half. Whittaker moves into acting half. Smith to Kay, quick hands, and Lepore tries to come inside, but Johnson waits to slow him down. Ben Eaton helps to finish him off. Morgan Smith gets the pass away. Tyre with a strong drive, takes Rochdale to within 12 metres of the Halifax line. First test of the Halifax goal line defence with Adamson getting it away to Declan Kay, and Declan Kay put down last tackle. Rochdale only 8 metres away from the Halifax line, still without a score. Well, Elliot Morris might have lost it going forward, but does well to get it in defence, and then Rochdale are adjudged to being offside. That's a pressure relieving piggyback penalty for Halifax, and a big kick from Morrell almost up to the Halifax 40. And Will Sharp away from 1, away from 2. Tyra almost got him at the second attempt, George King did. Elliot Morris steps the first run out of defence. Luke Adamson rather, trying to hit him. Head Barber turns inside, looks round, finds support, has shrugged off the defence, still looks for support, managed to get the pass away to Brandon Moore, who finds Elliot Morris in support to take the ball back over the Rochdale 20. Griggs to Johnson, Johnson to Kieran Moore. Tyra, well, wrestling and trying to get his way over the line. Kieran Moss supplying the pass. So it looked like he might go himself, and Steve Tyra over the line for a second time with the Rochdale defence underneath him, holding him up and stopping him getting the ball down. Johnson gets away. Johnson trying to duck under the tackles, but just not the same strength as Fairbank that allowed him to get over. Morrell kicks, and Rob Massam able to take it in his own in-goal area, and Halifax trying to get back as Massam taps it to himself. Makes 12 metres. Sean Jones on for Simon Griggs. Sean Jones on for his 10th appearance of the season, all coming off the bench. Rochdale looking again for opportunities as Rochdale keep it alive with Lewis Hatton and James Woodburn, all claims for a knock on there by Yates, and Yates gets it back off Tyre. Adamson brothers, well, didn't anticipate that, and the ball slipping from the grasp. Luke to Toby, ball put down. Halifax will get possession back. There's a bit of a conversation going on with the Halifax outside backs there as the scrum goes down. Morrell will feed the scrum. Off the back from Brandon Moore to Ben Johnson. Johnson to Will Sharp, who again threatens to bust the first tackle of Setareki Talatoka. And so coming out rightly now as Kieran Moss goes from acting half, and Moss is through 2 tacklers. Can't get through Morgan Smith, but he's 10 Halifax 30 metres downfield. Johnston has support outside. Butler gets it to Tyra. Tyra going for the line this time. Surely it'll be a try this time for Steve Tyra. He takes 3 defenders over the line with him, Steve Tyra. And again, just pure power from Halifax. Steve Tyra taking the ball at full tilt, and 3 Rochdale defenders around him couldn't stop the free scoring Steve Tyra, getting his 15th try of the season, extending the lead to Halifax 20, Rochdale 0. 8 minutes left in the first half. Well, the plethora of points that maybe was promised after 3 quick tries has failed to materialise, but Halifax have continued posting the points whilst at the same time keeping Rochdale away from their own line. Rochdale yet to really threaten. Steve Tyrer lines up another kick from inside the touchline on the far side. Can Steve Tyrer find the mark this time? Phil in a similar position once already. This one to give Halifax a healthy lead approaching half time. 22 points to nil. Tyrer bangs over another conversion. Will he use the first one as a marker? Bangs over a second at 10 metres in from the far touchline. And Halifax lead 22 points to nil. And look, in the first half as well, they're not in any mood to be in the competition that was as tight as it was at the Crown Oil Arena back in March. Ed Barber underneath the ball away again, gets it to Morris, and Morris will run into Tyrer and King and Whittaker 3 metres from Halifax 40 metre mark. Sean Jones carries it up a further 10 metres. Dan Fleming running on the left. Brandon Moore comes to the right and then tries to go on his own through 3 Rochdale defenders unsuccessfully. Halifax just back in the Rochdale half. Dan Fleming will try and make metres and almost does in trying to spin out of the tackle, but gets caught. Morrell gets it to Ed Barber, and Ed Barber is taken to ground by Joe Tyrer rather awkwardly. Morrell this time shows how to put a kick down the touchline, thread it through the defence and put it into touch a metre from the flag, something which Rochdale tried unsuccessfully earlier. Scott Morrell does to perfection, and Rochdale will scrum down 10 metres out from their own try line. Rochdale will scrum down when they get the full quarter in the scrum. I don't think the referee is happy with the binding. Talatoka dropping out of the scrum to make up an effective bus runner, but he can't get through the tackles. In Halifax there again, Fleming and Jones. George King driving it forward. Tyrer, strong run, trying to get the arm free to offload, I think, by Ed Barber, trapping the ball, carrying arm. Short ball from Yates. And Adamson, Luke, Toby Adamson into acting half. Kieran Moss under the kick, and he looks up and sees a line of Rochdale defenders. Throws the pass which fools the defence the first time, but nobody else to pass to. Run out of options with Ben Heaton coming back inside, and Ben Johnson doesn't get any opportunity either with the tenacity of the Rochdale defence and Richard Lepore. And Ben Heaton given the ball with little opportunity, and he's dragged back into the Halifax red zone. Will Sharp launched himself. Good tackle by George King. Brandon Moore from acting half. Brandon Moore beats 2 defenders almost up to halfway. Ben Johnson will kick on the last tackle. No chasers, and so Massey will get the opportunity to collect the ball and run it back. Johnson after him, gets him, gets a hand on him, but the tackle already been made by Butler and Jones. And Toby Adamson driving the ball up, being pushed back towards his own line as Tyler Whittaker distributes. Rochdale look for a way through on the far side. Talatoka will take Rochdale over the Halifax 40 with about 3¼ minutes left of the first half. And Tyree took the ball at a standing start then, wasn't expecting it, and somehow Morgan Smith loses it under pressure from Barber. Rob Massam comes inside off the pass from Adamson, and that surely must have gone forward off Rob Massam, and a celebration there, and high fives all round for Ed Barber, who was defending this right hand side of the field virtually single-handed there. Made the tackle and put the pressure on to force the error, which means Halifax will get possession again. So another Rochdale raid has been snuffed out by Halifax, and again Halifax proved to have too much in defence. Against Alan Kilshaw's men. And again the play being stopped. Morgan Smith receiving attention. Named in the Rugby League World Championship Team of the Month, Morgan Smith. And so has Adam Tangata of Halifax. I think this is the second time Smith has needed attention. Adam Tangata, a knee problem keeping him out this afternoon. And Halifax recruiting this week for a tilt in the middle eights and bolstering the squad with Sam Wood from Huddersfield, Jordan Baldwinson from Wakefield, the former Leeds player, and also Luke Cooper from St Helens, all with Super League experience, although Jordan Baldwinson is maybe limited, but he did spend a lot of time with Featherstone during the last 2 years before signing for Wakefield. Sam Wood injured at the moment, but Cooper and Baldwinson turning out for the Halifax reserves against Wigan yesterday afternoon from the bench. And Morgan Smith has not have serious injuries, but he's taken a lot of seeing to. And he makes his way across wide out to the far side in defence. Oh, that was dangerous from Tyree. Holds his hands up in admission. Steve Tyree has actually gone to the wrong man in Lewis Hatton, and everybody's got involved. Well, Joe Tyree put his hands up almost in surrender because he knew he'd lifted the Halifax ball carrier up too high off the ground. A little bit of frustration spilling over there. Steve Tyree being pulled out. Well, Joe Tyree is going to be pulled out for the tackle, which caused the referee to give Halifax a penalty. Steve Tyree will be warned about taking matters into his own hands. I think we're told by the referee that is in charge of what's going on, and he will handle the situation as he already had done by blowing the whistle before Tyree reacted. And the other 20 odd players on the field also joined in with a bit of push and shove. Tyree to Ed Barber again, and Ed Barber marked by both Adamson brothers, George King and Daniel Yates. Brandon Moore to Scott Morrell and Fleming running at full belt, but unable to break through the Rochdale defence. Morell looks for support, finds Ed Barber. Barber gets the touch. It's come off a Rochdale player back into the hands of Halifax, but I think the referee is going to say first knock on against Rochdale, is it? Well, he's given the possession to Rochdale. I'm not sure that's the correct decision. With 25 seconds left on the clock, Halifax are not going to be too worried about losing possession on the edge of the Rochdale red zone. And Rochdale trying to move it out wide. There was something on the outside, but Johnson making the tackle. Lepori coming inside and trying to bounce off the Halifax defenders without success. Talatoka driving it forward. Set of six that Rochdale have had for some time as they play it out, and there's a kick over the top which is taken by Will Sharp. He'll take the tackle of Adamson, and that'll be the end of the action in the first half. Scott Morell went down but got up with a smile on his face, a smile that's shared by the entire Halifax crowd at the moment, with a lead that should be enough to see them through. And a standing ovation for the players as they leave the field at half time, with tries from Griggs, Fairbanks, Heaton and Tyra, 3 conversions from Steve Tyra, and Halifax in a good position at the moment at half time. Rochdale with little to offer in attacking threats. Nil at the half time break. Well, that could be a problem from the kick-off. Tyler Whittaker, really no interest in that ball, and Halifax have managed to make the tackle, but Rochdale have somehow managed to keep it in the field of play, keep it alive, and Lepore has managed to take it back centre field. Joe Ryan on for Rochdale at half time. He's on to dummy half as Joe Ryan. He doesn't look like one, but the big lad. Rochdale throwing caution to the wind in an effort to get back into this game. And a chance here, and off goes Declan Kay, the fullback, hauled in by Elliot Morris. You don't often see a prop catching a winger or a fullback, but that's what happened there, and that's a great tackle again from Morris on Joe Tahiri. Rochdale are coming out with intention in this first half as they try to keep the ball alive. They look like a team of world beaters. They've probably done more passes together in the first set of 6 in this half than they have in the whole of the first half, and they've managed to get it away again out of the tackle. Last one in this set of 6, but the ball's come loose, and Rochdale have been given a penalty by the referee, metres out from the Halifax line. Well, they've managed to get themselves there by keeping the ball alive. They're going to try now use the power to get over the Halifax line. Talatoka will turn round, but is surrounded by Halifax players and unable to get the ball away. The threat not over yet though, with Yates getting a drop-off ball away. And there's a chance there. Well, Rochdale have opened the scoring in the second half. Alan Kilshot has obviously spoken some highly motivational words at half time, because Rochdale have come out, thrown caution to the wind, got to the Halifax line almost, been given a penalty, so they've managed to come away with first points of the second half. And Tyler Whittaker converts the try. I'm not actually sure who scored it, with the announcer's microphone See when they stop working. Maybe just waiting for the message to come up from downstairs. So Tyrant will restart. It's
the transfer for Rochdale Halifax was number 15 Lewis Hatton, and the conversion from number 14 Tyler Wheaton.
Hatton confirmed as the try scorer for the Rochdale Hornets.
A very happy 19th birthday. Good morning, friends. All the best to Jess Ainsworth.
And Halifax have just been given a reality check not to be able to sit back on a 22-0 lead, because that's cut the gap to 16 points, and Halifax have yet to touch the ball in this second half. Massam comes inside, and Massam threatening to go through the defence. Eventually tackled by Sean Jones, but Rochdale back in the Halifax half again. And Yates offloads, and here they come again with try scorer Lewis Hatton running the ball through. Kick for touch left by Kieran Moss. To go out of play. Rochdale begin the second half as the better team. Scott Morrell receiving attention on the floor. And I think exchanging words with Toby Adamson. But certainly somebody in that Warrington defensive line. That's certainly subdued the Halifax supporters. Not what they were expecting. Rochdale to come out and do the second half. At the start of the second half, didn't really look like they had too much to offer in the first half, attacking wise. But obviously, I think Alan Kilshaw said, well, it's your last 40 minutes of the regular season. Go out there, just keep the ball alive, and the reward for that was a penalty and a try, which has given Rochdale a hope. Maybe only a brief one, but at least a hope of causing an upset. Halifax don't want to let too much of that go on from Rochdale. Need to win. That's the only option Halifax have to get them into the top four. And, Sean Jones and Woodburn Hall collectively making meters for Halifax, and then a penalty for a hand in one of the Rochdale players, because Halifax will get some easy meters from Scott Morrell's kick, which goes out on halfway, and Woodburn Hall is held up by the referee. Brandon Moore to Elliot Morris, away from to Elliot Morris. Joe Ryan gets him at the second attempt with Luke Adamson, and another penalty. Will give Halifax an opportunity to get closer to that Rochdale line. Rochdale offside, and Woodburn Hall taking the kick for touch. Scott Morrell has bandage around the right ankle and is limping up to the play of the ball. Dan Fleming will drive the ball into the first contact of this set of six with the Rochdale defence. Sean Jones, strong run from Jones. Well, he's put the ball out and it went backwards, but it's gone into Rochdale hands as Adamson releases Rob Massam, who's threatening to get through 2 or 3 tackles on that far side. Halifax game down eventually. And again, Rochdale flinging the ball out of the tackle in an effort to try and make meters and disrupt this Halifax defence. Halifax up quickly this time, not allowing any offloads to come in the tackle. Ryan runs it in strongly, gets brought down 3 metres away from the Rochdale 40. Yates gets the ball out. Toby Adamson trying to spin out of the tackle. Woodburn all doing enough to slow him down till Barber got there to help him finish off Luke Adamson. Last tackle, and the Hornets just inside the Halifax half. It will go back to Whittaker for the kick. Not really a threatening one. Ben Heaton will run straight at Whittaker. Can't throw him off though. Kieran Moss looking for the outside of the Hornets defence. Tyra managing to avoid the rush out of defence from Tyra. Caught by Lepore. Halifax up to halfway. Rochdale showing determination in defence on Ben Heaton as Elliot Morris takes the ball up to the 40. Last tackle signalled by the referee. So it'll come to Ben Johnson, who puts the ball down the touchline and into touch. A metre away from the Rochdale flag, which is where Halifax wanted to finish this set of 6. As near to the line as possible, and Declan Gregory out from the half-time break with his arm in a sling, so Alan Kilshaw's only 3 players left on the replacements bench to play out this game. And 1 or 2 of those on the field have received attention. There's a long break again, ironically for another Rochdale injury. Rochdale are going to try and take the opportunity to get Lee Mitchell back on the field, but he won't be allowed on just yet. Rochdale will get to the 20-metre line with their first attempted drive. Miles Greenwood on the Rochdale staff is on the field for some reason. The man who served Halifax well in recent times. Eventually Joe Tyree will be called from the field by Miles Greenwood, and Lee Mitchell will go back on for Rochdale. Joe Ryan once again taking up the half-back role as he gets the pass away to Yates, and Yates down the touchline. Kieran Moss is under pressure, but won't be carried back into the in-goal area. Halifax looking for quick play the ball. Will Sharp taking the ball up. Scott Morrell leaving the field for Halifax. Has been limping since he had that strapping around the ankle. Brandon Moore gets it away to Dan Fleming, and Fleming unable to shake off Talatoka, who needs assistance from Whittaker to make the tackle. Johnson gets the quick away, and Declan Kay gives it to Massam, and Massam almost lost it then. Simon Grix on for Scott Morrell, and Declan Kay involved again, and Richard Lepore unmarked on his right hand side but didn't get the pass. Rob Massam makes the error, and Halifax will get possession at the scrum on halfway. Well, he looked uncomfortable when he took the pass. The tackle before did Rob Massam, as he managed to keep hold of it, but managed to knock the ball forward in trying to play it on that last play, and so turned possession over to Halifax. Brandon Moore to Ben Heaton. Ben Heaton carries it over halfway back into the Hornets half of the field. Brandon Moore gives it to Elliot Morris. Elliot Morris bounces off one defender into another. Sean Jones never really got into full speed then before he'd been met by the Rochdale defence. Last tackle signalled by the referee. Woodburn Hall has work to do. Well, I thought the referee had signalled the last tackle then. Obviously not. Although Halifax go for the 2 points and get the possession back from the kick-off. Safety first. It looks as though the signs are from the bench that Steve Tyler will go for another 2 as Halifax look to keep as big a lead as possible in this match. 12 minutes gone in the second half. Rochdale the only scorers in the second half so far with that try and goal. After showing some flaring, keeping the ball alive and getting to the other end of the field from inside their own quarter. Halifax making sure they don't get too carried away by taking the opportunity when they get it of an extra 2 points. And Tyra never even looked at that one after the conversion, knew where it was going. So 18 points to lead for Halifax. Halifax 24, Rochdale Hornets 6. And Tyler Whittaker will restart the match. That could bounce awkwardly. Ed Barber down on one knee, stops it with his body. Referee waves play on after Barber picks the ball up. Will Sharp to Dan Fleming, and Fleming takes the ball up to the 30. Rochdale moving up very quickly in defence, not allowing Halifax much scope, but Morris will try and go through the middle, and despite the attempts of the Rochdale defence, Morris never completely brought to ground. So Brandon Moore will take the ball up, and Luke Adamson and Toby Adamson both in the tackle. Woodburn Hall to Simon Griggs, and Griggs takes it almost up to the 30 with the referee signalling the last tackle. Kieran Moss will kick this time, and that's a high kick with plenty of spiral on it, and Tyra comes in and cleans Lepore out 5 metres out from the post. And Halifax swarming defence, and not much that Dean Cross could do there apart from appeal from a penalty. Well, Lepore willing to run the ball up again as Luke Adamson tries to make metres. Rochdale still pushing for ground and pushing for advantage. Joe Ryan into acting half, gets it back for the kick from Tyler Whittaker. And Kieran Moss picks the ball up, shows it to Will Sharp, and Kieran Moss almost splitting the Rochdale defence there on Halifax 30. Griggs inside to Barber, and Ed Barber takes on the Rochdale defence this time. He's got 4 men around him as Ed Barber, and eventually just goes down to sheer weight of numbers in the tackle. Elliot Morris, Talatoka Whittaker get him down eventually. Goes Brandon Moore from acting half again. Rochdale defence have done his homework on him though. Johnson kicks for Ben Heaton to chase, and Ben Heaton took out Richard Lepore there on a side-by-side run, but was on the outside, never going to get to it, and Lepore comes back again. He's not the biggest man on the field, but he certainly don't mind running the ball up for the forwards at Richard Lepore. And by contrast, Rob Masson, probably one of the biggest players on the Rochdale side on the other wing, also doing the same. Offload from Adamson, and the ball stolen by Woodburn Hall from Rochdale, allows Halifax to set up another attack with Elliot Morris. Well, the Rochdale tackles are becoming a little bit more spicy, still legal, but Griggs gets it out, and Will Sharp, well, couldn't take it. Well, he can now, but it's too late because the referee will say that Rochdale will get possession after the knock on. And Ed Barber struggling to his feet at the other side of the field. Some vocal support for Rochdale from their loyal band of supporters that they turned up at the Shea this afternoon. So eventually the scrum will form. The referee taking advantage of the drinks. Whittaker to Talatoka, nowhere for him to go under pressure from Butler and Tyra. Ryan driving the ball up, or Lee Mitchell rather taking the ball up. Halifax swarming defence on the 40-metre line. Dion Cross looking for the penalty again. As Pat Moran takes the ball up to halfway. Ryan in acting half. Adamson running out wide, running too far out wide, and managed to get the ball away. Halifax keep it in the field of play, but there's a mess about on the floor. The referee giving Rochdale the putting at the scrum. Well, Rochdale lost it first. Backwards, Halifax managed to get it, I think, as Rochdale tried to keep the ball in the field of play. Halifax got hands on it, tried to keep it in play themselves, and knocked it forward. Rochdale picking it back up and dropping it. Elliot Morris couldn't get to it, so we'll go down for the scrum. After the initial knock on from Halifax, Talatoka takes it inside the 30. Halifax looking at making changes as they're being tested against once again by this Rochdale attack. Lee Mitchell in support, but Adamson not releasing the pass. Lee Mitchell might get over now, but Halifax have somehow pulled him back into the field of play. Looks as though Mitchell might have scored then, and Halifax give away another penalty, which has given Rochdale an opportunity. So we're approaching the 19-minute mark gone in the second half, and Rochdale are being given another penalty. Halifax at half-time looked to have this game sewn up at 22-0. Looked as though they were offering a lot of points, and find themselves defending back-to-back penalty sets from this Rochdale side as Whittaker gets it away to Yates. Yates away to Adamson. He can look to get his arm out and around then to get the tackle away, but Halifax managed to get him down. Luke Adamson offloads one-handed, and the support there for him, but Halifax being tested, answering all the questions so far. Yates gets the ball to Lewis Hatton. Already one try for Hatton in this half, looking for a second, not getting it. Whittaker gets it out wide, and Cross gets it away to Lapore, and Lapore is also dragged back into the field of play. Well, not the biggest man on the field, and that's why Halifax were able to control him. Yates kicks, Brandon Moore picks it up, and Brandon Moore ankle tap to the ground by Daniel Yates. Might have gone a long way then if he hadn't been tackled. Dan Fleming and Elliot Morris are replaced by Will Maher and Jacob Fairbank as Ben Heaton gets through the first tackle. Well, Rochdale have 12 men in defence. Can Halifax take advantage with Sean Jones into a three-man tackle and still managing to make a couple of metres with defenders around him? Brandon Moore, Ben Johnson, Chester Butler. Well, he shrugged him off again. Chester Butler has support inside from Kieran Moss, and Moss won't be denied. Referee's gone down as well, falling over the Rochdale defender. And Halifax have eventually, after a slow start, but it was a slow start in the first half. Chester Butler should have been tackled, but once again showing his strength to get away and supply Kieran Moss with a try scoring pass. Which is Halifax 5th try of the afternoon. And takes Kieran Moss on to 7 for the season.
Number 13, Jacob Fairbank. Replace number 8, Elliot Morris, and number 29, Dan Fleming.
Tyler with an opportunity to restore the 22-point lead which Halifax held at half time. And he's about half a metre out from the left hand upright, so it shouldn't really be any problem for Steve Tyler. After kicking him from the touchline in the first half, puts over another conversion. The 22-point lead restored. Halifax 28, Rochdale Hornets 6. Less than 18 minutes to go. And Whittaker to restart once again, trying the short kick off, and Grix retrieves it for Halifax. Barber to Will Sharp. Will Sharp away from Talatoka the first time. Talatoka gets him at the second attempt with Dion Cross. Fairbank taking the pass from Tyra, offloads, and the ball disappears into Rochdale hands as Declan Kay looks for a way through. Well, it's certainly got one or two speedsters of Rochdale, and against any lesser defensively alert team, Rochdale might have had more points now, but as it is, they're still looking to add to that first try that Lewis Hatton got in the early moments of the second half. Mitchell tackled by Fairbank, 10 metres out, and a stray pass goes to ground, which will Halifax time to move out. Adamson, Toby Adamson, with not many opportunities there to restore the situation. Yates will get his pass away to Whittaker. Whittaker kicks, and Ben Heaton will take the ball and will get a penalty. It was contact in the air when Ben Heaton took that ball. The referee quick to spot that and give Halifax the penalty. Tyra running it out defence for the forwards. Gets over the 20 and Dion Cross makes sure he can't get up and get a quick play of the ball. Chester Butler almost up to the 30. Sean Jones off the field. Will Maher almost spinning out of the tackle. He takes it over the 40. Quick play of the ball. Halifax have both Ben Kay and Brandon Moore on now. Ben Johnson out to Steve Tyra. Well tackled by Dion Cross, almost took him out of the field of play. And Johnson once again down the touch line, put Rochdale back on their own 10. Let them try and take the ball out and take it upfield. Correction, that fifth Tyra conversion of course made it Halifax 30, Rochdale Hornets 6. Dion Cross, good step inside, looked for Lapore, couldn't get it away. Well, almost giving away a penalty. The referee will play on, and Dion Cross was allowed to get another 10 metres there. Lapore goes inside with Ben Johnson chasing him. Will Maher on his back, not going to go far. Talatoka. There's a lot of shouting going on the Halifax defensive line. Ben Heaton picks up, and could have been an advantage there, but the referee deciding that the knock on against Rochdale would give Halifax possession. Dion Cross down this time, requiring some attention from the medical staff for Rochdale. Just under 14 minutes showing on the clock. Halifax should now think they're safe for a top 4 spot. That's a bit of an anticlimax really after the heroics last week against to lose for Halifax. Always potential for possible disaster after the way that Halifax played against Rochdale early in the season, but a much changed Rochdale outfit from that afternoon. Up against the Halifax side, knowing what they have to do to get into the top 4. Early ball from Griggs to Ed Barber, and Ed Barber turns around and looks for support. Kieran Moster's too far away. Woodburn Hall, Will Maher with a big handoff. Initially, and it needed 2 to bring him down. Ben Johnson puts the ball down. Halifax attack breaks down. Lee, after going behind to Sheffield Eagles, have clawed their way back. London are 54-0 up at Barrow, but so long as Halifax can win, it's all purely academic. Halifax will win and go into the top 4 if they do so. And there's much sterner challenges in the middle eights, of course. Oh, the ball being put down. Halifax unable to go on the counter-attack. Well, Rochdale hang their heads in despair to a man as Dion Cross charges onto the ball and puts it down. So Halifax perhaps to make amends for Ben Johnson's knock on earlier. Well, he's got the ball. Where's he going with it? He's off the other way, but caught by the Rochdale defence on the 20-metre line, and they're carrying him back as well. Ben Kay picks up and goes from acting half, gets it away to Chester Butler, who's trying to show the strength again, gets the offload away to Ben Kay. Ben Kay to Fairbank, offload to Johnson. Johnson, well, not so much a tackle, but threw Talatoka off, and then Tyler Whittaker went for Johnson. Talatoka wants to join in. No repeat of the 26-man scuffle earlier in the half. Quick change for Simon Griggs as he comes off to be replaced by Sean Jones, minus the headgear. Maybe for the last 11 minutes. Johnson to Fairbank, Will Maher running it back into the heart of the Rochdale defence, who wait with Talatoka on the 10-metre line. Ben Kay gets it to Fairbank. No second try for Jacob Fairbank as the defensive wall is there to stop him. Ben Kay goes from acting half, and Ben Kay spins out of the tackle, and that should be game, set and match for Halifax now. Well, the Rochdale heads went down after Dion Cross knocked that ball on. Ball. Well, the heads will stay down for Rochdale now. Well, Ben Kay for his determination and effort, wouldn't give up, spun out of the defensive tackle, and is leaving the field with claret leaking from a cut by the look of it. We're seen to by the medical staff almost immediately as he leaves the field, while Steve Tyrer will give Halifax another 2 points.
The conversion Halifax sponsored by Vision Express from number 3, Steve Tyrer.
Well, I'm sure Ben Kay will want to be back out in about 9 minutes to celebrate with his teammates their achievements in reaching the top 4 again. Long kick, sharp underneath, he gives it inside to Will Maher and gets out to the 20-metre line. It takes 4 tired Rochdale defenders to bring him down. Will Sharp bring him down, Fleming back on the inside. He's running into the same posse as defenders as Will Maher did in the last tackle, but he's made almost 10 metres up to the 30-metre line. Will Maher gets it to Fairbank, and Jacob Fairbank will keep hold of it this time. Has a tendency to throw the stray offload away, but not on this occasion. Johnson Tex on the defensive line, almost gets through. Tackle of try scorer Lewis Hatton on 2 occasions there. Johnson loses the ball, loses it backwards, but it'll be a turnover. Well, Ben Johnson just getting caught with the ball there. The defence up quick. Lewis Hatton a metre from halfway. Joe Ryan to Daniel Yates, gets the ball away, but Ed Barber not giving any opportunity there to Tyler Whittaker as he hits him on halfway, and Rochdale playing out the tackles now, but little left to play for Pat Moran. Lets the pass away, and Lee Mitchell brings it back inside, gets the offload away to Declan Kate, and Declan Kate almost causing problems there for Chester Butler and Will Maher, but they bring him down eventually. Joe Tahiri will drive it forward 10 metres out. Yates kick across field, taken by looks like Kieran Moss, but he's taken back into the in-goal area and has fallen awkwardly as well, so Ben Kate already looks like he's back out. Ben Kate. Kieran Moss looked to go down awkwardly. Well, it's Halifax don't want to see Kieran Moss injured. 7 tries in 7 games since he joined from Hull KR till the end of the season. Well, it's Woodburn Hall, not Kieran Moss, but even so, Halifax don't want to start accruing injuries at this point of the season with the middle eights up and coming, and Will Maher charges out. Well, that's a good chase out of defence by Halifax with the ball returned 20 metres by Lewis Hatton. Good return, a massive hit there, puts Joe Tahiri on his back. I'm sure he actually knew where that came from. It was a cracking tackle. Moran takes Rochdale back up towards the Halifax 20. Yates to Whittaker. Whittaker gets it away to Declan Kay, who's going to get tackled because he took the ball. He didn't take it cleanly. Didn't allow that, broke down the swift movement across the field for Rochdale. Lewis Hatton running the ball in again for Rochdale. Joe Tahiri using all his strength, but so with the Halifax defence using all theirs on the last tackle. Last throw of the dice from Rochdale and trying the power play to get over. Joe Tahiri, who played his amateur rugby in Rochdale at Mayfield, was not going to get through the Halifax defence, who have more than made amends for that early slip up which allowed Hatton over. Rochdale with more chances in this second half, but Halifax answering all their questions with some big hits. Will Sharp still trying to drive his way forward. There are 3 defenders around him, and Will Sharp unable to get up and play the ball quickly. Brandon Moore goes from dummy half. Rochdale defence wait for him though, a metre inside the Halifax half, and then carry him just over the white line that takes him into the Rochdale half. Johnson, a little chip through, picked up by Woodburn Hall. Ben Heaton gets out of the tackle, and the referee has given a penalty to Rochdale and said Halifax were offside from the chase. Well, I'm not sure they were, and I don't think there's a Halifax supporter who thought they were then, although Ben Heaton got out of the tackle. I'm not sure the support there was there to get the ball to. Dion Cross running strongly, managed to keep hold of the ball this time. Yates to Mitchell. The Rochdale Hornet supporters still vocal. Yates to Whittaker. Adamson, a long pass out to Massam. And Massam managing to get through Will Sharp, but there's a mistake by Rochdale. Halifax will get possession at the scrum again.
And today's attendance here at MDIC Stadium is 1,866. Thank you all for your brilliant support today.
Well, it's taken a while, but over 1,800 people in the shake, considering the size of the Rochdale support. It looks like there's one or two more people who are coming down to watch this Halifax side, who've defied the odds yet again. And we'll look to do so in the middle eights, which is a lot tougher. But Halifax, if they get into the top four, will probably have the self-belief to be able to do anything in the middle eights. Always a tricky ground for championship clubs. Joe Tyree holding down. Johnson gives it to Fleming, and Fleming gets one off Joe Tyree, and everybody will be in again. Well, the first one he held his hands up for when he made a tackle, a spear tackle earlier in the half, but no apologies or excuses for that one. The swinging arm from Joe Tyree. Still having a conversation with Daniel Fleming. Well, a minute and a half left, and Halifax have defied the odds yet again after being classed as no-hopers. They've managed to take on and challenge the full-time clubs. Well, Joe Tyree gets away with a telling off. Steve Tyree gets the opportunity to kick another 2 points. Well, it's not going to do, thankfully for Halifax, it won't do the points for and against any good, but that won't come into the equation now, because if it had done, Halifax way behind their counterparts in the top four on that score, and able to rattle up some of the big scores that the other sides have done, but winning when it mattered, so the resilience and will to win, and a bond between these players that's grown throughout the season. Tyra adds on another 2 points.
And with the penalty for Halifax, sponsored by Vision Express from number 3, Steve Tyler.
Well, just adds a couple of points on. Halifax 38, Rochdale 6. Well, the short kick-off. Again, bringing no rewards for Rochdale as Joe Tyree tackles Steve Tyree, and Halifax supporters celebrate another end of season success, which takes them into the middle eights to play the likes of Leeds and Toulouse. And nobody leaving this ground as Halifax supporters. Well, it's a bit muted after last week, but Halifax have done what was asked of them. and that was come up with a win, and a handsome win in the end, making up for that 6-point win that they scraped to at the Crown Oil Arena.